What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our WPL draft analysis. That's right, we're coaching WPL Season 8. I'm pretty hyped, actually. Our good buddy Ben, or Fizzle the Hizzle, was in this league previously, as well as our good friend Nacho, coach of the Detroit Terribles. Sup, bitches. Yeah, both really good pals that I talk to every single day. And I was really hyped to apply to the WPL. I set a reminder on my phone because they tweeted out a specific day that they were doing the application. So set a reminder on my phone, and I, turned the WPL Twitter on to notifications on my phone as well, and did not disappoint because we got in. Let's go, baby. We got in with our good friend Dom as well, coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So there's 2 Doms in the league. We went through this draft. It was pretty slow, but not. I don't know, man. Can't really complain given the time zones and stuff. There were a lot of British people in the middle of the draft. And that's sort of what ended up doing that. So, standard tier draft, just like the NCL is. Same free point distribution, things like that. Some interesting things though. Takulele was allowed. So that's interesting, I guess. It didn't go until 5th pick or something like that, though. We got 15th pick, so closest I've been to the wheel almost ever. I've had first pick 1 time, and yeah, 15th is the closest I've had to the wheel besides that 1 first overall pick that I've had. I don't know if you guys remember this, but way back in UPBA Season 1, we had 3rd pick. That was crazy, actually. Yeah, so let's get right into things here then. 15th pick, there's not a whole lot of good stuff left necessarily. So I had my eye on a few comfort picks, and I saw this right off the bat, and I knew I wanted it. So we grabbed Garchomp. No complaints with Garchomp. I've used it before, and it's a pretty strong mon, honestly. It's definitely sort of a 15th overall kind of pick anyways, so I didn't feel too guilty about taking this round. I thought it might get taken at 16th, so I just wanted to grab it while I could. Really good speed tier for the team already. Solid typing, although I don't necessarily have ice all that well covered throughout the draft, but Dragon for the Dragon Fairy Steel is awesome. Electric Immunity right off the bat. Fuck. Curse of Yawning, just like every other one of my videos. I made this my Super Z user, which might have been a mistake, but there's a reason for it. I'm not going to give it away now. If you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you might see it during the season. You might not. I also may swap this out because I realized there was another pick that I had that would have been a much better Super Z user. I just wanted offensive Z usage on the Garchomp here, and I should have done that instead. So there you go, I guess. Yeah, that's what's going on with the Garchomp here. Again, 102 base speed, crazy physical attacker, decent mixed attacker as well, taking out the Skarmories with Fire Blast, things like that. Rocker right off the bat, which is really cool. I don't tend to draft a whole lot of Stealth Rockers, and Garchomp's a very usable Rocker. Great Scarf speed tier as well. A lot of the metagame, and I see this a lot when I do my prep docs now, is that a lot of the metagame in Draft League revolves around base 95 speed. Base 95 tends to be a very solid speed tier that a lot of teams tend to draft. Mons like Kyurem Black, things like that. So you definitely want a base 100 or something a little bit higher to be a solid Scarfer that just outspeeds. Excuse me, I think that's important that it's just on the cusp of outspeeding rather than having something that's, super wacky fast, which you'll actually see later on in the draft. So, yeah, either way, it came back to us right off the bat. I can't remember what was taken, Heatran and Finny or something on the wheel, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm grabbing my fairy now, and this is a super comfortable fairy that you will all love and recognize as my absolute favorite Pokemon to use in the format. Mimikyu! Of course, we got the boy. Made it an offensive Z user as well. I'm very, very comfortable with Mimikyu. This is my my best performing Mon of all time. It was definitely a snipe against some people, and I knew that this was not going to last to get to me round 3. There's no way this was coming all the way back. So I'm really glad I grabbed it now. Now, Granted, the speed tiers between these two are pretty close. Again, this is something a little bit higher than the base 95. Another great offensive user, fantastic physical attacker. Mimikyu has a lot of utility that people don't really see in its kit. They're like, oh, you know, this is a very one-dimensional mon. Well, I'm out here to prove you that you're wrong. It is not a one-dimensional mon by any means. It has so many options given to it with the coverage move that it gets, the utility options that it gets. Yeah, just I've absolutely massacred people with this. I don't know. You guys can check out the GBA Fan Draft League where I absolutely took lives with this thing as well in our road to top 32 there. UPBA Season 1 if you want to see it be a kill leader, which is absolutely crazy to me. What else? Oh, PTL Season 1, this thing was the kill leader on my team as well. Like, just an absolute monster. Absolute monster. So, really big fan of Mimikyu. Oh, my MWPA championship run. Funnily enough, my 2 championships have both had Mimikyu on them. So, who knows? Maybe this is the 3rd. Again, Z user as well. So, really not much more besides absolutely praising the Mimikyu. I'm actually going to grab another fairy a little bit later on down the road, but they don't share any weaknesses. So that's really cool. And double fairy is really fun. Fuck! This goddamn curse. This is what I get for recording after work, man. I just keep yawning. Zapdos was next. I grabbed Zapdos round 3. It felt a little ridiculous that Zapdos was still there, and I was on the train of taking comfort picks, so we grabbed Zapdos. Zapdos has been an absolute menace in my hands before. You know, all you have to do is look at D&D on my channel, and you'll see that. I drafted it as well in PTL. It kind of was a toxic sponge that season, which was not great, but it ended up, you know, it put in a lot of work that league too. So we take those. We take those. Zapdos, yeah, comfort pick really, and that's really all you can ask for. My speed tiers are really tight between each other, but I've now got a removal option. I've got a Volt Turn option, which is super useful. Definitely my favorite move. My favorite move in the entire game is U-turn, and maybe that gives you a hint of a pick that I'm going to take later, but definitely on the train of the static discharge pairs too. We call it the Ian special in my friend group for a reason. It's because I run it all the time, and I get full paras, and that's how I win games. Just ask Jed. You'll notice for this draft I have the little free points counter down there in the bottom. So we're down to 220 free points. This cost 180 because it was tier 1. And so that is how many free points we have for the last 3 free picks. Shoutouts to Sohan, by the way, for all the graphics. Really cool that this is all done for me, and I didn't have to do any of it myself. I like that a lot, and I'm going to continue to enjoy to like that with all the thumbnails coming. So, round 4, again, it's coming right back to me. I think Gliscor and Scizor went the next 2 rounds, and I was like, oh crap, this dude's taking double steal. Maybe he's going to go triple steal. It was pretty whack to me that someone would take double steal, but you know, Heatran and Scizor synergize pretty well. I mean, sorry, Heatran covers Scizor really well, and Gliscor covers Heatran really well. So, you know, there's a lot of synergies going on with his team, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So round 4, I ended up grabbing Primarina. This is the other fairy I was talking about. I haven't used Primarina since PCL Season 1, which you can also check out on my channel. It's way back there. Way back in the days of horrible production quality. And yeah, I really enjoyed Primarina. It's a fantastic special wall breaker. My team is kind of lacking that. Obviously, you see I've got a lot of physical offense on the team right now. A little bit slower as well. Fantastic choice specs mon. It's a decent special tank as well. You know, it's got a lot of things going for it. Realistically, Primarina, pretty solid water type. And again, like I said, the fairy typing, it doesn't matter that I'm running double fairy now because they don't share any weaknesses. So Primarina's weaknesses are electric, poison, and grass. Garchomp covers 2 of those. Zapdos covers the other. Mimikyu's weaknesses are ghost and steel. I think that's it, actually. I'm pretty sure it's just ghost and steel. Zapdos covers the steel. I don't have anything to cover ghost yet, but I will pick that up later. So that's sort of how the team is shaping up now. Again, special wall breaker. We've got physical wall breakers in the Garchomp and the Mimikyu, or physical cleaners in the Garchomp and the Mimikyu potentially as well. Round 5, we ended up grabbing the Mega Beedrill. I was not scared of this being sniped all the way until this. I was actually really putting off Mega Beedrill for a really long time. I was going to grab Mega Beedrill round 3. I ended up pushing it back quite a ways because I didn't feel threatened by someone taking the Mega Bee. But I just really wasn't sure what I wanted to pick. I was sort of taking it wheel by wheel, so I was like planning 2 picks at a time. And I had Mega Beedrill in my head for a while, and I was just sort of pushing it back until I could get a solid pairing with it. But, you know, obviously the guy behind me at 16th still doesn't have a Mega. And I was a little bit worried about him taking Mega B. I know he already has a Bug in Scizor, but that didn't stop him from taking Double Steel already, right? So I wanted to grab Mega B. Now, it's another physical threat, but I needed the speed, just like an excellent speed tier at the 145 there. Best U-turn in the game, so supplemented the Zapdos in terms of the Volt Turn. I've added some more Defog on my team, but also more hazards with the T-Spikes option and a Grounded Poison, so Mega B sort of checked off a lot of boxes here. And again, it's all about comfort. You know, I've drafted Mega B a handful of times now, I should say. You know, it took me to finals in NCL Season 1. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it right now in... Oh, shit, what's the league I have it in? I have it in MWPA, and I want to say I have it somewhere else. Boy, where else do I have this Mon? Hello? What other league did I draft this Mon in? This is wild right now. Okay, you know what? I swear to God, I just had this... I had it in Mount Silver. There we go. I just had it in Mount Silver, which ended. That would be where I'm pulling Mega Beedrill out of my ass from, because I clearly don't have it in anything else besides MWPA right now. Yeah, so anyways, I'm a big Mega Beedrill fan. Oh, fuck, this stupid thing where it goes to the other... Okay, so now if I click on the slide deck, it's going to go to the next one, so you guys are just going to have to hold on with the top bar there until I get to the next slide, but... yeah, fantastic physical attacker. Again, it's a great fairy killer, which Garchomp seems to struggle with a little bit, and I didn't have a steel type yet, obviously, right? So that is kind of what I was going for there, is a fairy killer. And the steel type I'm going to grab isn't a fairy killer. I think I grab it now, don't I? I do, yeah. So I ended up grabbing the Registeel. Registeel is not really a fairy killer, so it's great to have Mega Beedrill there to actually kill fairies. The one fairy that... Well, sorry, there's a few, but like Mega Mawile and Mimikyu are the only fairies, I think, that are neutral or resistant to poison. I could absolutely be wrong about this, but I have one of them, and I don't play Mega Mawile for a while. So, you know, Mega Beedrill is sitting there, and it's ready to kill some fairies. Registeel coming in. I wanted a little bit more of a reliable rocker, so I could take the burden off of Garchomp. This was the whole idea in PTL of grabbing Registeel along with Mamoswine, was to take the burden off of Mamoswine to set rocks. A little bit of a slower speed tier. I also needed kind of a wall to supplement the Zapdos as well. Comes in as more of a physical walling presence, even though I know Registeel has neutral, like it's got evenly split physical and special defenses. But Primarina, you know, can wall on the special side. Mimikyu's highest stat is actually special defense. Beedrill is very frail on the physical side, so I wanted a little bit of a physical tank in the Registeel there. You know, the things that are going to hit the Mega Beedrill for super effective damage are things like flying, things like psychic. Registeel tanks those. It obviously doesn't tank the fire hits, which is kind of what I have Garchomp there for, kind of. But in terms of its common weaknesses, rock, psychic, and crap, what was the other thing I just said? I just said it. Rock, psychic, flying. There we go. All three of those are covered by the Registeel for the Mega Beedrill, so I'm a big fan of that. Obviously, it provides me with the extra hazard support, which I like. Registeel's decently workable in terms of, you know, variety of sets that you can run. I've used Registeel in the past a few times. I did win a championship with it in UPBA, so that's kind of a theme with the Mimikyu and Registeel there. And all of these mons I've used in the past, so I'm not bringing anything new yet. I do draft something new. Don't you worry about that. I do draft something new. Actually, 2 mons new that I've never used before. But moving on, Registeel's kind of, you know, it does the same thing, realistically. You're not going to see it as an offensive powerhouse necessarily. Now, I know I've run it in a meme match, but that was a meme match. So, round 7, we grabbed Reuniclus, another mon I've used. very briefly though. I only used Reuniclus for a very small amount of time in Nepal Season 3. You know, cutting back on the free points here. This is round I was actually sniped on Superior. I believe I was going to grab Superior and I was sniped on it because I wanted a speed tier between Mega Beedrill and Garchomp. I wanted a reliable defogger and I wanted a grass type, and I didn't get any of those because Superior was sniped. So, oh well. I wanted something to punish people defogging my rocks away, my T-Spikes, but you know, that wasn't too big of a deal. So I grabbed the next best thing sitting in tier 2. I still needed a Psychic type. I wanted something a little bit slow. This gives me kind of a Trick Room option. I've got Trick Room setters in Mimikyu and Reuniclus now. I like Reuniclus. It's got a lot of options for it setup-wise, which is kind of a big thing, right? So I've got some setup mons available in the Garchomp and the Mimikyu, and Reuniclus kind of adds to that. I was looking a little bit physically biased, and Reuniclus gives me a special attacker, potentially really good utility-wise. I've seen A-Drive use a bunch of Assault Vest sets. I love using. I've used them myself as well. I think they're pretty useful. Big fan of that on Manaphy as well. I'm not drafting Manaphy in this draft. Obviously, I can't afford Manaphy, but love me some utility Manaphy. It's definitely a really solid pick. So yeah, Reuniclus, you know, all of the above. I really like Trick Room. Magic Guard user, I'm a big fan of, so it's a great status absorber for something like Zapdos. You know, that's a problem I've had in the past with Zapdos, is that it just gets toxic every single game and it gets worn down. And even with Registeel on that team, I wasn't bringing Registeel enough because it wasn't good enough on that team, honestly, as a steal. And then we grabbed Kartana and made a final run all the way almost to playoffs there, but yeah, so Reuniclus, great status absorber for the Zapdos, great Will-O-Wisp switch in for the Garchomp and the Mimikyu as well, so I'm a big fan of those. Obviously, you know, my darker weakness, my darker weakness isn't necessarily there, right? Because, you know, Primarina kind of covers Reuniclus there. My ghost weakness is a little bit more pronounced now. And I don't really have a bug weakness necessarily either, because I got the Primarina, the Registeel, the Zapdos, and the Mega Beedrill technically, but I don't know if you really want to switch Mega Beedrill in on too many attacks. Maybe only like special grass attacks. It's pretty easy to switch Mega Beedrill on because it's got decent special bulk, but its physical bulk is pretty horrendous. So next pick then, so this is another wheel, right? So round 7, round 8 would have been the wheel coming back. I ended up grabbing the Lycanroc-Dusk, so this is something that could fit in between the speed tiers I was just talking about, because I ended up deciding on another grass type that I was going to get, and it wasn't going to fit in that speed tier range. So I grabbed something that can fit between the Garchomp and the Mega Beedrill. It's not super off the you know, between them necessarily, but there wasn't a whole lot of options there. I was going to need another tier 3 anyways. This gave me a typing I could fill, you know, give me another wall breaker, give me another cleaner as well, potentially. Ended up opting not to make this as a user. I thought about making it as a user, but I had about four decent users at this, you know, at the end of the draft, and Lycanroc unfortunately was not one of the top 3 in my mind at the very least. You know, I'll run other items on this before I run Z Crystal. Generally, I should say. Very generally. I believe I can use transactions to transfer Z usage, but I'll have to look further into that. So, Lycanroc-Dusk, again, great physical attacker, sets up rocks, gives me another priority user, which is something I always have to keep in mind. So I've got the Mimikyu and the Lycanroc-Dusk as priority users now. Although Lycanroc-Dusk gets multiple priority options, so there you go. Tough Claw's boosted hits are pretty obnoxious. And again, like I said, Reuniclus can soak the Will-O-Wisps. A lot of people are going to bring physical walls against this team. It's a very physically biased team all the way around. Very, very generally, it's a very physically biased team all the way around, even at the end. But like I said, I needed the tier 3, and I needed a rock type eventually, I thought. Technically, it's a flying resist, I guess. It doesn't really help my ground weakness out at the moment, where Zapdos is the only thing that can switch to ground attacks, but there you go. Big fan of the Lycanroc. I've used Lycanroc-Dusk before. We used it in NCL Season 1 alongside the Mega Beedrill, so kind of got a lot of pairings here that I've used before. You know, the Zapdos, the Registeel, the Mimikyu all together, the Mimikyu and the Registeel from a championship team. Primarina, not with anything else. Garchomp, not with anything else. Reuniclus, not with anything else. Actually, I used Garchomp Mimikyu together in that Mount Silver season that I had Garchomp. So, yeah, kind of some pairings. Then Primarina and Reuniclus kind of by themselves now. And this is sort of where we get into the part of the draft where I haven't used these things before necessarily. This next pick I am currently using in GSA Minors, but I've never drafted before, and that is the Beware. So I ended up making Beware as a user, and there's a very valid reason for this. It's a physical tank, right? Beware with Fluffy is a physical tank. It's a ghost switch in now too, but the big thing is that it is a knockoff resist, and you put a Z Crystal on it, it tanks knockoffs for days. It's the best knockoff resist on my team, absolutely by far. Tanks in the knockoffs that Reuniclus doesn't want to eat. It's a very good dark resist in terms of that. Obviously, I have very good fighting switch-ins right now in the Mega Beedrill, the Zapdos, the Reuniclus, the Primarina, the Mimikyu, so I've got fighting pretty much covered in terms of Beware's normal side weaknesses. I have a lot of flying resist. You'll notice I was talking about flying resist before. Zapdos, Registeel, Lycanroc-Dusk. What else is fighting weak to? Psychic, which I can switch in the Reuniclus for. I can switch in the Registeel for. I don't have another Psychic resist coming up, unfortunately, but there you go. And what else is fighting weak to? Fairy. I've got a Fairy resist in the Registeel, Fairy resist in the Mega Beedrill potentially. Although I am still a little bit Fairy weak. It's not super pronounced. It's not super pronounced necessarily. Beware is a good boy, and while it fills a speed tier I already had, it's a great physical wall breaker, which I've already said like 3 times, and it's a big setup threat. Beware, it can sit there and it can eat hits, and it kind of dishes out a shitload of damage without you realizing it, and that's kind of what I like about Beware here. I've seen it in action a few times, and it's a lot more of an underrated mon than people like. It gets less credit than people give it. So, at this stage, I had 140 points. Now I'm down to 80. There's really only one thing I can do with this, and that's taking another tier 4. So I ended up grabbing Lurantis, which is basically budget superior anyways. So I wasn't super thrilled about grabbing this, but when I realized it was basically budget superior, I was like, okay, well, I'll take superior getting sniped if I can get this for value and have Reuniclus on the team still. So, Lurantis is something that can benefit from the Trick Room option of my team, so I've kind of got a slow mode, fast mode thing going on. It's a reliable defogger. It's a ground switch in finally, besides the Zapdos, which is bless up for the ground switch ins. Fuck me. Bless up for the ground switch ins finally. Thank you. Can I finally talk? Jesus. Set up on both sides with Contrary punishes defog like I wanted with Superior. Speed Pass is not allowed, I believe. Speed Pass is not allowed. Let me just double check that really quickly. I definitely looked at getting Speed Pass, and I'm pretty sure it's not allowed. Let me just check the rules really quickly here, just so I can verify in the middle of this. You may not baton pass speed. Yeah, okay, so it's banned. It's definitely banned. Speed Pass is absolutely banned. But that doesn't stop Lurantis from doing anything. As a bulky boy, Mono Grass is actually a pretty decent defensive typing. Obviously, I've got bug resists all over my team. Fire, I don't have the best resist for, but I've got the Primarina, I've got the Lycanroc-Dusk sitting there, I've got the Garchomp sitting there, so I do have fire resists. They're just not necessarily, traditional fire resists that you see, like a bulky rock type or anything along those lines. A bulky water. I don't necessarily have the bulkiest of waters, but a water nonetheless. I'm excited to use Lurantis. And then here in my last pick, I kind of was beaming a little bit. I was going to take Wailord. Shoutouts to UPPA Season 2. What a shit league that was, and what a great draft that was, though. So I was going to take Wailord just for a shout out back to there, and I've loved Wailord. I still want to use Wailord properly competitively, but I'm not going to be able to because I didn't take it. I ended up going with something that gave me a little bit better bulk-wise, gave me a better speed tier because Wailord is the same as the Primarina and the Beware. And I wanted something that could eat ice hits because ice tends to be a problem here, right? My ice resists are like Primarina or Registeel. Registeel can get worn down. Primarina doesn't get recovery. Neither of them get recovery. So I wanted something that could eat ice hits for days. And so my options for that essentially came down to Lapras, Walrein, and Dugong. Now, I've used Walrein before. I've used Walrein in SSBL. We're actually moving on to the playoffs in SSBL. When you guys see this, it'll be the last day of the regular season there. and I'll be moving on to playoffs in either the 2nd or 3rd seeds. I have no idea how Dave's game has gone, and you guys won't even know this because I'm not uploading this league at all, but I finished the regular season 7-3 there, and I was either in a position to take a bye in the 2nd seed or move on to the first round of playoffs in the 3rd seed. Either way, those are the 2 seeds that I can end up getting. I don't believe I can drop below 3rd seed. But I'm using Walrein there, and Walrein's actually a ton of fun. It's a fantastic ice resist. Granted, people don't really draft ice types anymore. They kind of use ice, and I'll quote Ben here a little bit. Ice is a coverage, not a type. And he's right. He's right. They really are. But I need to cover my Garchomp in some way. It was my first overall pick, and I wanted to cover it a little bit more. Your tier 5 pick, it's kind of not going to come to a ton of games. We showed that in NCL Season 2. I think I had Stunfisk, and I barely brought it to anything. But Barrel barely came to anything. Alolan Raticate barely came to anything in that season. So, Dugong is here. It's not going to come to a ton of games. It actually, I believe with the calc, I saw it 8 times resists ice or something stupid with Thick Fat, which is just ridiculous. Like, honestly, I was calculating against Kyurem Black at first, and I was like retarded because obviously Terrible goes through Thick Fat, but then I was calculating against Abomasnow, and it does half. Without Thick Fat, it's doing like 6% with a Blizzard, and then with Thick Fat, it's doing like 3% with a Blizzard. So, this is an amazing ice resist just sitting here. It's actually got decent coverage. It gets pretty decent priority moves. It's just got well-balanced stats. It's not excelling at anything, but Dugong is a pretty decent mon. I'm not going to say too much more about Dugong because it's kind of a meme pick as well, but hopefully we'll see Dugong come to at least one game. There are 12 weeks this season, and I don't have another slide for you guys, so we'll just talk about the Z users here. So Garchomp is our super Z user. Mimikyu and Beware are both offensive Z users. Beware blows shit back with Breakneck Blitz, I'm not going to lie to you. Mimikyu is obviously our tried and true patented mon. It's on our banner for the YouTube, so obviously you guys know what's up there. We are in with the Ladner Lanturn franchise. We're not our new franchise, which you guys will see actually in a week. I've got my draft analysis going up for PTL where I'm using my new franchise, so no spoilers there, but that'll be going up next week, I believe, because I should be posting this on, I don't know, man, the week of the 21st of January. So that was the Monday, and then somewhere in there I will be getting this draft analysis up. I'm currently filming this on the 23rd. It's not going to go up on the 23rd, I believe, because I'm not going to be home for a while, but it should go up after that sometime. So hopefully you guys enjoy the team. I think it's going to be pretty fun. We might make some transactions here and there, but I do think it's going to be pretty fun. There's some decent competition here in the WPL, and obviously an upload required league I am looking very much forward to, because as you guys will have seen by now, hopefully, I didn't make playoffs in NCL. Unfortunately, we were really close to making playoffs in NCL, which is my own league, and I did not make it. It was very close. Very close. Came down to 3 people that could have helped me make it in, and none of them did. So I didn't make playoffs based on that, and a Sacred Fire Mist, but we won't talk about that. So NCL regular season recap will be coming out once that season ends. I want to declare a champion before I recap my thoughts about the season, especially with NCL. I go over thoughts about all of the coaches, not just myself. So yeah, you guys will see that by the 10th, like 12th of February or something is kind of when I'm thinking that'll drop. That week, the week of that, the 11th of February is when that'll go out. But until then, you guys will have WPL to enjoy and PTL to enjoy, and Red is also coming back. Yes, Red is coming back. I've got good news about Red. I should be uploading Red. So when I upload Red, I will have good news about Red. Obviously, WPL draft analysis going up whatever day this is going up. Our match will go up the week after, I believe. Should be going up the week after. No. WPL first upload day for battles is the 10th of February. That's what it is. So I'll be playing this week though, and then you guys will see it the week after. So that's what's going on for WPL and PTL as well. I believe our first upload day for PTL is the exact same day, the February the 10th. So I should have both of my upload leagues going on here at identical times, which is pretty fun. I haven't actually had 2 upload leagues running at the same time for a really long time, but that may put me in the same spot where I end up with NCL as my only upload league for a while there. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the team. I've been going on a tangent for a while here, but I'm really excited to play in the WPL. There's some really cool guys here. Names that you might recognize are Dom in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, he's a really good friend of ours, Rudiger67. Sohan in the Toronto Leaf Storms. OPJellicent, who runs the league. He is, we play him deep into the season. We play my good pal Spanik and his New York Rangers in WPL as well as in PTL. We play him in PTL as well. We play him before in PTL. We play him in PTL before we play him in WPL. So we'll sort of, we'll have 2 uploads going up against Spanik, but Spanik's a really cool dude. I don't think I play anyone else that I know off the top of my head out of any of these matches. So yeah, lots of cool new people, essentially. New people that I've never played before, and I love that. I love that. So yeah, keep an eye out for the matches, and I'll catch you guys for the first one.